Hey guys, Cobradvs here for episode 2 of RattleCast, and of course, joining me today is...
Neoflynn, also known as Nick.
Oh, I'm Tyler. I don't know if I have to elaborate, but um, oh, I was gonna say something right off the bat. Oh yeah, apparently episode 1 was popular enough that we have a sequel, and so I think this episode is gonna be called the sequel.
The sequel.
The pilot, the sequel, sticking with generics. Um, okay, so I guess we can go ahead and jump right into it. We'll read a few comments from the first video. I thought it was all pretty positive feedback, definitely.
Yeah, everything I heard was good. So
Uh-huh. Um, are you on the page, Nick, or did you want me to just read them?
you can just read them. I don't have it open. But...
I don't. Everybody has trouble with this guy's name. It's Twirup or Tweirup. I don't think anybody knows how to say his name, and I don't think he says it in his video. So I'm gonna say Twirup, and his real name's Tyler, so I can just say Tyler. He said, this was great, very entertaining. Looking forward to episode 2. All right. Elwood High says, wow, I really enjoyed this. Great job, guys. Well, thank you. Pac-Man Invader said, nice job, guys. Sounded smooth and not like it was the pilot episode. Looking forward to next week for sure. All right. Actually, this guy commented about Duke Nukem Forever. Real Equalizer said, Gearbox merely finished Duke Nukem Forever up. I'd be interested in to see what Gearbox does with their own Duke Nukem franchise. A game from scratch could be rather good. And you said that, I think, in that episode.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that when they basically finished Forever. So it'll be interesting to see what they do on their own.
It should be better, I'd say, than Forever.
It couldn't be any worse, that's for sure.
Okay, and then Rob Who Is comments and said, the Call of Duty Elite service includes $60 of map packs will be free for Elite members when they come out. And in 2012, they will supposedly release monthly DLC stuff, which will all be free for Elite members, so $50 a year for DLC and stats tracking, basically. Okay, now back to me playing Dead Island, and cool first show. Hope you guys continue it. Have you played Dead Island? I've heard a lot of people talking about this game.
I have not. I've heard very good things about it. It's basically Fallout with zombies, is what I understand, but also multiplayer co-op. So it sounds very interesting.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Goffman says, excellent cast, guys. Really enjoyable. Love the little segments involved. Great pictures throughout the show. Looking forward to more. And there's going to actually be an extra picture in this week because we added another segment, so hopefully you'll enjoy that one. I made it kind of looks fruity because I was trying to go for a graffiti font and I couldn't find it. When I found one, it wouldn't work, so I just went with some standard font and just colored them like pink and stuff, so it looks kind of weird. VG Reviews 95 says, if you're looking for a guest, I would be honored. Now, the thing with guests, I've had a few people talk to me about guests. I don't think we'll do guests probably until we get a little bit bigger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this thing that we use will even work for guests, but, you never know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can do conference calls with it. I know you can do them over Skype, but I don't know if you can record them. So
Right. Okay, Ball and Nick in 1982 says, hey, I really enjoyed listening to this. I'll definitely be looking forward to more. And I saw that comment. I was really pleased because he's got kind of a big channel, and I know he does some pretty popular videos, so just know that he watches, or listens rather, is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, 2D UK says, well done, guys. Awesome cast. Loving the pics. Really add to it. Thanks. Well, you came up with the name, so you better love it.
He's required to love it, I think.
Right. And then Ivy Peppy 38 says, great podcast, guys, and thank you. So that's all the comments, I believe.
And my friend actually messaged me. He didn't leave a comment on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
He messaged me just to let me know, and he really enjoyed it, and he's a huge gamer, so.
Awesome.
That's actually the guy that I play Borderlands with, so.
Oh, all right. Cool. And then Rob, when we posted it on his group, he said he enjoyed it too, right?
Yeah, he did.
All right, cool. Well, that's good to know. Okay.
Nobody hated it, so that's good.
That's true. We didn't get any thumbs down, which is nice. So I guess we can just go ahead and jump into the news. And the first thing I saw earlier in the week was that the creative director of Halo 4 left. Now, is it creative director? Is that right, or is it something?
That when the story first broke, that's what they said. But as it turns out, he was actually the narrative director, which is in charge of the story, kind of. So it's not actually the creative director, which is kind of the main lead on the game. So it was a bigger deal at first than it actually turned out to be. And he had actually turned in his notice in, what was it, March. So they had already hired somebody and was already working on it. So it's not going to affect the development of the game at all, I don't think. But it is still kind of a big story to leave a huge franchise like that in the middle of development. So
That is kind of cool. I had a quote here, and I guess the guy's name is Ryan Patton. Or
yes.
Payton.
Yeah.
He said that the game had become a crazy endeavor. I don't really know what that means, but that's what he said about it. I'm kind of like weary about getting really excited about this game. You know, if Bungie were doing Halo 4, I'd definitely be bouncing off the walls excited. But since it's 343, which is mainly Bungie ex-employees anyway.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
You know, it's still like that sense of worrisome that I have.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure because it's the first time somebody other than Bungie has touched the franchise. So, but 343 has done some other stuff, so it's not like they're total newbies to the franchise. So I think it'll be okay. I don't know if it'll be quite as good as the previous games, but
Right.
But yeah, the guy basically left to start his own studios, and the quote that I read was that the game was becoming something that he didn't want it to be, and so he felt the need to step away from it and start his own franchise. So, and the studio that he's opening is called Camouflage. It's CAMOUFLAJ. So.
He must be a Call of Duty fanboy, and he's just like Call of Duty. Now, okay, and you want to go ahead and say a news story?
Sure, I can. The first one that caught my eye this week was GameStop jumping into a different market, and they're going to basically start accepting and then reselling iOS devices, so your iPod, your iPhone, or your iPad. They haven't announced prices or anything or what kind of trade-in value, but the article, they called around to a few GameStops and they said, yeah, they'll be taking trade-ins, but they don't know anything more than that. So it's an interesting move. I don't know how many people are in the market for a used iPhone or iPod, but it'll be interesting to see where they take it.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because the only places I've ever seen like an iPhone or an iPod, well, iPhone really, I've seen iPods everywhere, but iPhones are like at a Verizon store or a place that also offers a calling plan and stuff like that.
Right, yeah. It's the iPhone itself, you can't really do anything unless you have, a plan to go with it. So I don't know how much that'll work, but the iPads and the iPods are a little bit different,
So if you want to get screwed over on an iPod, you can do that at GameStop now.
Yeah, not so cheap used iPad.
Yeah. Oh, are they doing iPads too? I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, it's at all iOS devices, so that would be the pod, the phone, and the pad. So.
Nice. They need to start doing Androids. You know what? Actually, they don't need to start doing Androids because I don't want to have to go in there and see people trading in like the newest Droid for $50. I don't need to see that. I need a new phone. Mine just took a dump on me.
Nice.
I have the original Droid 1, and I absolutely love the phone and what it can do, but like the past month, it's just been like awful. And today, finally, it'll turn on, but the touchscreen officially does not work.
Ooh.
So I think I can get another one for like $50, which is stupid. It should be free. It should be free because it's not my fault that the phone doesn't work.
Right.
But whatever.
Yeah, I'm an iPhone user, so.
I've been looking at iPhones because Verizon has them now, and I'm up for a new phone in November. I've been looking at iPhones, but I think it's going to be really hard for me to switch from a Droid to an iPhone.
Yeah, if you're used to the Droid, then I imagine it would be a hard switch, but that's all I've ever known as far as a touchscreen phone, and I love mine. So.
Right. One thing I was looking at on eBay, they have cases for the iPhones that are like an NES controller.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
that's definitely a plus towards the iPhone, but.
Right. Yeah, I have the OtterBox case for mine, and if I didn't have that thing, it would have broken about 5 different times because I dropped it.
Do you have the 4?
Yes.
Awesome. It looks like a...
if you have an iPhone, get an OtterBox. It will save your life. You won't have
OtterBox?
It's called OtterBox. It's a case.
Oh,
but basically it's like indestructible.
Oh, all right.
There's actually videos on YouTube of people dropping it off like 10-story buildings, and they're fine. So yeah.
I don't know if I'd be that brave with it, but
yeah, I like when they sold it to me at the store, the guy literally like they're trying to sell me on a case, and they're like, I'm like, let me see what you have, and the guy's like, hey, do you have your OtterBox? And the guy literally chucked his iPhone across the store, and it bounced off the floor about 3 times, and then he handed it to me. He's like, here you go, and it was,
Wow.
the phone was fine inside of it. So, but I've never been that daring to like chuck my phone across.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the audacity to do such a thing.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing I saw online is the Expendables 2. That was actually, it was announced a while ago. Like, it's been definitely happening for quite a while now, but I guess this just came out that it's going to star Sylvester Stallone, of course, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis are going to be in it, and they were in the first one, but they're going to be like main roles, or definitely bigger than they were, because last time they were just, basically cameos,
Yeah.
I mean, I think people were kind of mad at that, but,
Yeah, I never saw the first one, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, and it's definitely on my Netflix, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. But
really,
for people especially my age, I'm a little bit older than you, but
wow.
Those are the 3 biggest action stars in history to us. So I think to see them, the 3 of them in a movie together, will be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've seen all of Arnie's stuff. Terminator, Predator, Commando. I just saw like this year, and I gotta say, Commando's just a fun movie to watch. And, all his big action movies. Sylvester Stallone, I was never a huge fan, but I have seen some of his. I have recently seen like Rambo, or First Blood rather, and
Yeah.
I saw the Expendables, and then Bruce Willis. I'm just getting into Die Hard, so I definitely have some newfound likeness for Sylvester and Bruce Willis. So this should be a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I don't think they could. You get those 3 together, it's going to be hard to screw it up.
Right.
And they got a bunch of other, Chuck Norris is supposed to be in it.
Is Jason Statham going to be in it still?
I have not heard one way or the other.
I thought he was really good in the first one.
Yeah, he's kind of the new blood.
Oh.
So
Here, I'm actually looking at it right now. It says original cast members: Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Mickey Rourke, Crews. I can't see the first name. Terry Crews and Jet Li are expected to return, so that'll be cool.
So yeah, that definitely then.
They can't screw this up.
You wouldn't think with those people.
Wow, and there's buzz about Chuck Norris and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Wow.
Yeah, I think Jean-Claude at least is confirmed, but
wow, that'll be incredible. I have to see this movie. All right, what do you have down?
The next one that I had was Sony, after the huge PlayStation Network debacle from this past year, where everyone got their private information stolen. They went and hired former U.S. National Cybersecurity chief, basically, Philip Redinger, I think is how you say his name, and he's going to be their chief information security officer. So basically, he's in charge of making sure that they don't screw it up again. So I guess if you're going to go and hire somebody for security, get somebody that work for the national government.
Yeah, that seems pretty safe. So I don't have a PS3 nor obviously PSN, but I did hear about the thing. Was everybody's information available to the hacker guy?
As far as we know, they got pretty much anyone who was on the service, and they never did anything with it that we know of. But yeah, they basically got everyone's name, address, and if you had credit card number.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah. And there's that anonymous group that everyone thinks, nobody's claimed credit for it, but everyone thinks it was them that did it. And they generally don't do anything. They just prove that they can get in there.
Right.
And it was down for, I want to say almost a month. I think this was entirely down, and it really actually screwed over that what was it? DC Online that launched shortly before that happened, and then the service knocked it out, and it pretty much destroyed that game because no one could play it.
Oh, was that on the Xbox as well, or?
No, it was PlayStation and PC, but no one on PlayStation 3 could play it, so it kind of destroyed it.
It sucks.
And I think it's pretty much dead now, so.
Man, that sucks bad. All right. Well, after the Expendables 2, I've written that the Modern Warfare 3 Hardened Edition, which we talked about last week, isn't going to cost $80 like we thought at the time. It's going to cost $100.
Yeah, which is pretty steep for that type of a version.
Right.
Not the super uber version of it, but We got a little more details from actually one of the comments about the Elite service, so it may be a little bit more of a value learning about that. That you get all the DLC basically for free. So
Yeah,
once
I
you
don't.
hear that, it doesn't sound as steep, but still, $100
Yeah.
is quite a bit.
I mean, it. How much is the? That makes me kind of wonder how much the Veteran Edition is going to cost. That's usually like.
Usually it's 150, but
Yeah.
they'll do.
Wow. Didn't it come with What did Black Ops come with? It was a remote control car or something, wasn't it?
Like spy car, yeah, that took 10,000 batteries to run.
Oh my god.
It was ridiculous. It was like 6C batteries, I think it was, to run the thing.
Yeah, they're getting out of hand. They're getting out of hand. And then there was night vision goggles for Modern Warfare 2, right? Now that's actually kind of cool. That would entice me to buy that, but I don't think I'd spend, X amount of dollars on it. I don't know how much it was, but
Yeah, I didn't buy either one of those, but I have bought in like the Legendary Edition for Halo 3 and the Legendary Edition for Reach, but, I'm a Halo geek, so.
yeah. That was the one, that was my, for Reach, I bought the middle edition. I forgot what's collector's edition.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. I thought it was going to come in a tin case, which I said last week is a seller point for me, but it didn't. It just came in this goofy thing. But I don't know, it's cool anyway.
Yeah. The Legendary Edition of Reach was actually pretty cool because you got like this full-size, figurine display of all the characters in the game. So it was actually pretty cool.
Wow. I've seen that little plaque thing. Yeah, that's kind of neat. You had one more story, right?
Yes, I did. Basically, the PlayStation Plus, which is an additional service that you can buy for your PlayStation. Every about month or so, they release a new batch of free stuff that you can get if you're a PlayStation Plus member, which I happen to be. And the big news this month was they're giving away Plants vs. Zombies, which is, one of the best kind of casual games out there, and you get that for free. The only drawback to it is if you ever stop your PlayStation Plus subscription, you lose all of the access to the free stuff that you've gotten the whole time. So basically, if you become a PlayStation Plus member, you have to stay a PlayStation Plus member. But, I thought we could parlay that into talking about the PlayStation Online versus Xbox Live. And the bigger argument that you always get is, well, Xbox Live costs $50 and PlayStation is free. But Xbox Live does so much more stuff for that $50.
Right.
It's a much better service overall. And, of course, you said you don't have a PS3, so you can't really...
I don't.
But I know
I've heard some things.
Live, so. But it's, PlayStation Online it's not terrible, but they just make it so, like, you can't chat across games like you do on Xbox Live.
That's what I've always heard people say. It's like you cannot do that. And that's
and you can't, you can't party up and go from one game to another. They make it really hard to have like a community of your friends online and play different games. It's not like Xbox where you can just go, bounce from one game to the other and not have to worry about it. So.
Well, I gotta say, it can't be worse than the Wii's.
Well, yeah. That Wii is definitely in last place as far as online goes, and Nintendo's always been like, we don't care about online gamers. It's always been kind of their thing, but I don't know. I think they're missing out on a lot of opportunity. So
yeah, well, see, the thing with the Wii that I like is like because the multiplayer isn't so it's such a big thing to them. A lot of their games have a lot stronger single player.
Yeah.
Like, what comes to my head is, of course, the Mario games, but even a game like Resident Evil 4. I don't know if you played that. That's a GameCube and a PS2 title as well. And I actually see on here that it's 50% off for that PlayStation Plus thing. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they'll do that too with PlayStation Plus. They'll offer stuff at discounted or,
Right. That's kind of cool, but I don't know, because I feel like multiplayer kind of, it doesn't ruin games, but I think it distracts a little bit from the main storyline.
Yeah, I think it has that effect on single player gaming where they'll spend less time in the single player component, to spend time with multiplayer, which I don't necessarily like, but it depends on the game, I guess.
One thing that makes me mad is I think it was Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, I'm not sure, but there's a story, or maybe it was on some Facebook thing that it wasn't going to feature multiplayer, and some people were kind of pissed about it. And I played only a demo of Arkham Asylum, and I thought it was really great. I just never picked it up. But I gotta say, that is a game that of one of like all the popular games out nowadays does not need multiplayer, and for people to be mad about that just seems
Yeah,
kind of
the way
silly.
the game is set up, it really doesn't lend itself to multiplayer. I don't really know what you do with it. I mean, I've played Arkham Asylum. I'm probably about halfway to maybe 3/4 of the way through, and it's definitely a single player experience. So I don't really know what you would do as far as what are you going to do? Have a bunch of Batmans running around trying to kill each other?
Right.
It doesn't really make sense to have multiplayer in a game like that.
The
But
same thing with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. They introduced multiplayer in that, and it sort of looked interesting, but that game would have done just as well without it.
yeah, I've never played the multiplayer of that one. I've seen, like online videos of it being, and that one actually does look interesting because you're kind of hunting each other. So it makes a little bit more sense in that one than it would in like Arkham Asylum. But
Right.
it's still, there's still a need for single player gaming, and I hope that they don't go completely away from that.
Yeah, no kidding. But, it's kind of funny that we just mentioned the Wii not having very good online capabilities because Dragon Quest X.
Yes, there's huge uproar in the community.
Yeah,
and,
people are
and
kind of pissed.
yeah, basically what it is it's going to be an online game, and apparently now there's going to be additional fees that you're going to have to pay in order to play the online game. And at first, it sounded like there would be a single-player component to it, but according to most reports, that will last a couple hours, and then you'll be forced to play the online portion, which they're being very vague about whether it's going to be a one-time fee or whether it's going to be a subscription service, which most people think it's going to be a subscription because, what online games really are there out there that don't have a subscription service.
Right.
So people are quite upset about it.
Yeah, so it's like, is it an MMORPG then?
Apparently. I don't know that much about it. I'm not a huge Dragon Quest fan, but
Yeah.
I guess it's going to be like kind of a MMO in the Dragon Quest universe, so it'll be interesting to see where they take it.
Yeah, I've never actually played the Dragon Quest game. The only one I have is Dragon Quest 1 and 2, or Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 on the NES.
The NES, yeah.
Those are the only ones I have, but I don't know, it seems kind of stupid to kind of take it from, just a standard whatever whatever RPG to online only. Kind of seems...
Final Fantasy tried that, and we know how that turned out for him. So
wasn't it it was a PS2 game they tried it with?
it was on PC and PS2, and it was...
Oh, okay.
And then they I think they made one for the 360, and yeah, none of them did very well.
I want to say it was Ball and Nick that I was watching a video, and he had one about the Dragon Quest X thing. And what did he say? He said something that I wanted to mention. And for some reason I just knew what it was, but I forgot now. But it might have had something to do with why the Wii? Why pick the Wii?
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, the Wii doesn't seem like a very logical choice.
Right. It just I don't know.
It's Square Enix, so it's not like it's a Nintendo game. So
Right.
I guess that's, and the Dragon Quest 9 was on PS2, so it's not like they haven't put them on other consoles. So it's just a very interesting choice. But
It does seem weird, and I'm sure a lot of people have Wiis that are capable of being set up online that just aren't, because all you have to do is have a Wi-Fi connection. And
yeah.
that's it. But the thing I don't like is about having to pay for it. That just
Right,
seems
and they're being so vague about it. I think that's what's upsetting people because they haven't said, well, it'll be a one-time fee and then you'll be able to play the whole game, or you're gonna have to pay every month. So.
Right. I'm trying to find what Ball and Nick said, but he has a 16-minute video on it, so I probably won't be able to find it. But God, what did he say? I forgot what it was. Oh well. All right. So I guess that's it for the Dragon Warrior. Oh, Dragon Quest. I forgot they changed the name. When did they change the name? Was it?
Well, in Japan it's Dragon Quest. In America it's generally known as Dragon Warrior. But
oh, okay. It's yeah. I was looking on eBay earlier, and the Dragon Warrior games for the NES, like 1 is like worthless, but 2, 3, and 4 are all kind of worth some money. But
yeah,
then,
1 was pretty prevalent in the NES cycle, but after that they kind of dropped off a little bit. They were more, niche titles. So.
And then I noticed in Japan, or the Famicom versions, Dragon Warrior, they're dirt cheap.
Yeah, it's very, that series is huge in Japan. it's a little bit less so in America, but in Japan it's a huge series. It's on par with Final Fantasy over there. So
Wow, I kind of want to get the Famicom ones just to. I don't have any Famicom games. That's kind of interesting. I don't have any. All right, well, that's all I have for news. Was there anything else you had?
that was it.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to, this is the new segment, and you get to see the fruity picture that I made for it. It's, Nick, you haven't seen it yet, but it's not that fruity, but it's okay. And we're going to talk about, in Retro Corner, the Super Nintendo's 20th anniversary was this year, and I forgot the date. I don't know what the date was. It was August something, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was.
Yeah, because I remember somebody posting a video not that long ago. So
right. So I thought we'd maybe share some of our favorite Super Nintendo games, moments, accessories, whatever you want to talk about Super Nintendo. So if you want to go ahead and start.
Yeah. I just remember, like, when we got it, of course, I think everybody got Super Mario World when they got their Super Nintendo, and I just remember how much of a leap forward it was from anything else that we'd played at that point. Because I never had a Genesis prior to that, so we went from the NES to the SNES, and it just blew me away the way that game looked, sounded, and played. It just, it's one of those systems that will always have that cult following because there were so many great games for it. But I just remember really specifically, like, popping in Super Mario World for the first time and just being blown away by what that game was. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, when you watch, like, a lot of top 10 or top 20, whatever countdowns of, like, the best systems of all time, if the Super Nintendo's not number one, it's 2 or 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know anybody who doesn't like the Super Nintendo. And I know there's a lot of, like, diehard Sega fans, but this might make some people mad, but it's kind of the truth. When you compare the Super Nintendo to the Genesis, it's kind of a no comparison. And to the degree that, like, like how vast and, like, deep the games are on the Super Nintendo compared to the Genesis. Like, I've never played, Phantasy Star 4 or Shining Force, so I can't really comment on that. But when you have games on the Super NES, like Chrono Trigger and, Earthbound even, or... Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to compete. And then, on the Mario theme... I love Sonic. Sonic 1 is, I think, one of my favorite Genesis games, if not my favorite. But when you have games like even Mario RPG, but more like along the lines of, like you said, Super Mario World, Mario All-Stars.
Yoshi's Island one. And
Yoshi's Island is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games of all time. It's awesome. And then you got, Super Punch-Out, your favorite. He's got all these great games, and it's really hard to beat. And I think that's why it's so easy to go back to it today.
Yeah, it's got just such a huge library that there's something for everyone in there.
Right. It's definitely massive.
Yeah. And, like, I was never a big RPG gamer, so I never really, I'd never played, the Earthbound or the Chrono Trigger and, all that, because I wasn't an RPG. I'm still not even today. I'm not a huge RPG guy. I'll play some of them.
Same here, but, yeah.
But sports games really hit their stride starting with the Super Nintendo. It was much closer than what we played on the NES. Tecmo Super Bowl just took Tecmo Bowl to a whole nother level.
Right.
And, the Madden franchise started then. And
what game? Tecmo Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Is that I know there's 2 on the NES.
Yeah, there's Tecmo Bowl, which was the first one. Which
right.
was ported over from the arcade. And then there was a Tecmo Super Bowl on the NES, which was really good. And then I don't even think it was a full year later they put, because it was, Tecmo Super Bowl came out towards the end of the NES cycle, and then the Super Nintendo came out, and they made another Tecmo Super Bowl that came out on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay. See, I have the NES ones. I've never played the other one.
Yeah, it took everything about Tecmo Bowl and just made it better. So.
That's cool. Another thing I kind of wanted to mention is the Super Game Boy. I didn't have one when I was a kid or anything, but I have one now. And there was not anything for the Genesis that allowed you to play Game Gear games, was there?
No, not that I know of, no.
Yeah, same here. So that's kind of like really cool. I'm looking at it now, and it's kind of a really good idea that what it does is, like the Super Game Boy, it takes some of the Game Boy games and actually puts them in color.
Oh, I didn't realize it put them in color. I just knew you could play them on
Yeah.
it.
right here it says play Game Boy games in color on Super NES. There's actually not all of them do it, but on some Game Boy cartridges, there's a little like label in the corner that says like Super Game Boy or something. I think those are the ones that are in color. So
yeah, I actually picked up a Super Game Boy at Goodwill not too long ago, and I was quite surprised to find it there. So I snatched that sucker up in a hurry. But I've never messed around with it. So
I don't know if I have any original Game Boy games. I know I have Super Mario Land 2, but I don't know.
The older ones.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any. I'd like to get some. I have Space Invaders, but I mean, I'd rather play that on like Atari or something.
Atari,
yeah. One more thing about the Super Nintendo that is when you go on eBay, the amount for a boxed Super Nintendo sometimes is way like expensive. They are expensive to find a boxed Super Nintendo. I have a Super Nintendo, well, clearly, but I was looking for a box for one, and one came up on eBay for, I think it was like $23, and I thought that was, okay, reasonable. I ended up buying it because I wanted one so bad and I could never find one. But then one a few weeks later came up on, and it was the edition that came with Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World on one cart. And it was somebody bought it for $50. I mean,
wow.
You can buy a boxed Genesis with the system for $50.
Yeah. Oh, that was just the box?
Yeah, it was just a Super Nintendo box. There was no
wow.
system. I'm sure the styrofoam was in there, but
still, that's
$50 for a box. I mean,
yeah,
I'm a huge fan of boxes, and that seems a little steep. I don't know if I'd do that.
Yeah, that's a lot for just the box.
Right. Any notable Super Nintendo games you want to mention?
Not necessarily the game itself, but just the experience that I had buying the game. I remember when Mortal Kombat 2 came out. It was the first time that I was ever turned away trying to buy a video game, because that was shortly after they came out with the rating system.
Yeah.
And I had reserved it at, I think it was called Software Etc. Then it later became GameStop, but I had reserved it there, and I went to pick it up, and they're like, you can't buy this. And I was like, but I have it reserved. And they're like, yeah, it's mature rated. You have to be 18 to buy it. So I had to come back with my brother like an hour later and have him buy it for me.
Oh, man, that mature rating. What a crap.
But yeah, it was one of the first times I could ever remember like being turned away to buy a video game. I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, the game itself was good, but...
Oh, Mortal Kombat, yeah, it's definitely fun. I'm trying to think if I've ever been, shot down in flames for trying to buy a game. I don't think I have. I remember one day, I was 17, and I was going to get Borderlands, actually. And when I was 17, I'm only 18 now, but in a year, I grew about, 6 inches, and I don't know, people tell me I look a lot different, but I see myself every day, so I didn't think so, but whatever. So I kind of looked like a little kid when I was, 16 and 17. And I thought for sure, I felt like kind of like a hard ass because I was 17 and I could buy this game.
Right.
And I thought, for sure this guy's going to ask me, let's see some ID, punk. Never did. Never did. I don't think I could have walked out of that mire with a bigger head. I didn't get carded for buying Borderlands, so I was the shit. So that was kind of funny, but I don't think I've ever been
straight shot down.
Yeah, I don't think so. Trying to think of any Super Nintendo games I wanted to mention. Do you have Turtles 4?
Do I have Turtles 4? I don't know if I own it, but I know I've played it. So.
Oh man, that game is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I love that game. And then there's Hyperstone Heist on the Genesis, and it's basically the dulled down version.
Right.
It's not quite as good. It's still good, but Turtles in Time is just phenomenal. Yeah,
it's easily one of the best arcade ports I can remember, and that was another thing that the Super Nintendo did really well back then was arcade versions. That's one that really sticks out. And then wasn't there. No, they didn't port Simpsons to that, but
No.
I can't remember. There's another one I'm thinking of, but I can't remember what it was.
Konami. Konami's pretty.
Yeah, they did a bunch of them.
And then you've got games like Zelda. I mean, do you have Link to the Past?
Not on the Super Nintendo. I have the the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, yeah. Well, oddly enough, Nick, I do have a double of it. But actually, I just realized the other day I had a double, and I didn't even know. But yeah, that's a phenomenal game. And then, I don't know, I'm kind of drawing a blank with what else to talk about with the Super Nintendo.
I think there's so much to talk about that it's hard to narrow it
Yeah,
down.
it is. One thing that my friend Britton and I, we did a Donkey Kong Country speed run, and he didn't grow up with Super Nintendo or anything, or maybe he did, but he didn't know Donkey Kong Country very well. But he quit like after a half an hour because he was just getting demolished by this level, and I ended up finishing it. But you know, when I was playing it, I just realized like how amazing this game like is, and how like blown away people probably were back in '94.
Oh yeah, I can remember. I can't remember if I bought it on launch, but I bought it shortly after, and like I can remember popping it in for the first time, and just I specifically remember the intro with like the old Donkey Kong rocking in the rocking chair, and then like the new Donkey Kong coming and like kicking him out and rocking the boombox. And I can from that moment on, I was just entranced with that game, and the underwater level, especially like the music in the underwater level, just blew away.
The soundtrack in that game's phenomenal. Even though I hate the underwater levels, I hate the underwater levels in any video game.
Yeah,
Super Mario Brothers, well, doesn't matter. I hate them.
They always seem to have catchy music, though. Like, I think they do that on purpose because they know everyone hates those levels.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I guess that's it, so suppose we should move on. And then after that, we're going to do Retro Game of the Week, and Nick went ahead and took the honors of it this week.
Yes, in honor of the impending release of Star Wars on Blu-ray, which I am stoked about. I chose, and oddly enough, since we were talking about the Super Nintendo, this is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games as well, and that is Super Star Wars, and in fact, the whole Super Star Wars trilogy on the Super Nintendo. Are you familiar with those games?
I have the first one. I think I have them all three, but the one I played the most was Return of the Jedi. So I'm pretty familiar with them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I have all three of them boxed, and I'm quite proud of that.
I only have the last one boxed, but
yeah, it's the first time I can ever remember like playing a movie game and actually enjoying it, because they're so detailed with the nods to the movie. It doesn't especially Super Star Wars doesn't follow the movie storyline exactly because you can't really play through that particular story at the beginning, especially.
Right.
So they kind of take some liberties. Like the first level, is just Luke fighting through the desert. And
yeah,
then,
you're on Tatooine or something on the first level.
Yeah, and then you meet C-3PO, and he's like, "We need to go rescue R2-D2. He got captured by Jawas." So then it mixes up the gameplay. You go from a side-scrolling shooter kind of Contra-esque, and it turns it into kind of a flying game where you're busting down the thing and his sand speeder killing Jawas. And just everything about that, like the graphics were amazing to me, and the sound, especially like the music in that game, just blows you away.
I remember the music. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds just like the movie.
One of the things I distinctly remember, and if I remember it they must be pretty good.
Yeah, it literally sounds like the movie soundtrack. So.
Something else though that I remember about these games is that they rival like Contra in difficulty.
They are brutally hard. In fact, I think the only way I could ever progress through them was to enter a cheat code that let you keep your gun upgrade if you died, because that was what would really kill you. If as you progressed in the game, if you were to die, you lost your gun power-ups and you were left with this shitty starting pistol, which really sucked, especially later on in the game because you couldn't kill anything. So that was the only way I could ever get through it, was to keep my gun power up.
I don't think see, the first one I got was Return of the Jedi at a pawn shop. This was, a long time ago, probably 4 or 5 years. And I got past the first level. The first level is the one where you're in the speed. What are they called? It's a
sand speeder.
Yeah,
snow speeder. Sorry.
So, yeah. And you're like jumping and trying to get to Jabba's or is that the second level that you're trying to get to Jabba's palace in the snow speeder?
I can't. It's been so long since I played that one. Okay. I don't remember specifically.
Well, there's a level where you have to like jump, like over holes and stuff. I think in Return of the Jedi, I beat 2 levels, and that was it.
And that was it. Yeah, they are brutally hard, but they're rewarding if you can learn to play them. They're very rewarding. But I just remember how close to the movies they were.
Hmm. Have you ever played the Star Wars on the NES?
I have, and it's terrible.
Yeah. Not very good.
So that was the other, like, if you played that one and then you played Super Star Wars, you were like, okay, this is what a Star Wars game should be.
Yeah. You
But,
definitely.
it mixed up the gameplay so well, and, the sound was excellent, and like I said, the music was just, it blew you away.
Hmm. I'm trying to think. My buddy had the first one, so I'm pretty familiar with that. I think the one I'm least familiar with is The Empire Strikes Back. And
Yeah,
I used to joke with my buddy because the name of he's a pretty big Star Wars fan, and the name of the game is the Super Empire Strikes Back. So I kept asking him like, "What's the Super Empire?"
well, I think the actual technical title is Super Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, but
Oh, is it?
yeah, I think that's the actual title, because I know, like, Return of the Jedi is Super Star Wars: Return of the Jedi.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It is.
Yeah, so.
Spoiling.
But I think people refer to it as Super Empire Strikes Back. So.
Right. They are pretty fun games. I find them difficult to go back to because of how difficult they are.
Yeah,
But I might have to
It's
give that.
better if you play it on an emulator and cheat using save states.
Isn't it always?
That's,
No. But yeah, they are tough.
That was I think that was a different generation. Like, every game was hard back then, I think, for the most part.
That's another thing. Yeah. Like,
We're spoiled nowadays.
yeah, I mean, playing Halo on Legendary is so much easier than playing Contra on normal.
Right.
For Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that game's ridiculous. All right, so Star Wars, we finished. The thing about the Blu-rays, I wanted to mention, eBay is kind of like pushing the hell out of these Blu-rays. Have you been on eBay lately? And there's like advertisements.
Yeah, I know they got, like, Star Wars gear, like, on the splash page when you first
Yep.
sign in.
What do they come with?
The Blu-ray itself is, it's either 8 or 9 discs, and it's it's all 6 movies on Blu-ray, and then there is 40 hours of bonus footage. So Star Wars geeks like myself are going crazy just to see 2 minutes of extra footage
Right.
that we haven't seen before. So, and just to own them on Blu-ray, which is at
Yeah.
home.
I wonder how good they're gonna look.
I'm sure he's always done a good job of transferring them to new formats, so I have no doubt that they will look amazing.
Hmm.
And he has tinkered with them a little bit, because a lot of people complained, like, in episode 1, that Yoda looked like crap in that movie because they tried to do something new with him.
Uh-huh.
And he's since taken it and made, because they tried to use like a puppet composite with digital, and it just looked like crap. And so they've taken that out, and it's just a straight digital Yoda through the whole movie. So.
I always liked in the original trilogy 4, 5, 6 how Yoda looked. Like, I know he's a puppet, but it sort of gives him it makes him look older too.
Yeah,
because he doesn't move as
he doesn't move like he does in the
Uh-huh.
new trilogy, I guess you would call it.
But I mean, with a series like Star Wars, they've always been pretty ahead of their time.
Yeah,
On technology, so I guess doing him in CG was kind of the natural way to go, I suppose.
yeah, and it's one of those franchises that no matter what they do, if they put 1 second of extra footage, people will go out and buy it.
Yep.
And George Lucas is notorious for, well, this is how I really wanted the movies to look, and that's why he keeps tinkering with them. But he pretty much could crap in a box and call it Star Wars 7, and people would buy it. So
I heard he's making another trilogy. Is that right?
not that I know of, but I wouldn't put it past him.
It's probably just like a rumor that everybody wishes were true. That's probably what it is. Like,
I actually
saying.
wish it's not true, because he needs to leave it the hell alone.
Um,
Especially messing with the first 3 movies, like, just stop messing with them.
Right.
The way they are,
I don't know if I'd like to see another series or not. What might be better is like if he made new movies surrounding the Star Wars universe, but not in the original.
Yeah,
series.
not that like storyline. Do
Right.
something that you could take the books that are out there that take off from from the movies that expand the universe. You can maybe do something with those, but
Right. Plus, I think like no matter what, I think you can always go back to the original movies and watch them. Like, I'm sure there will always be like a thirst for more movies, but there's so much Star Wars stuff out there that it's really hard to get.
yeah, it's kind of Star Wars overload. But
Like
and I enjoy like the Clone Wars TV series and stuff like that, where it's different stories that we're not used to. Like, I enjoy that type of stuff. But.
Right, and then there's always Super Star Wars to play.
Right, exactly.
what was it? Have you seen the Family Guy Star Wars?
Oh yes, yes.
Those are
Absolutely
just
love those.
incredible.
Yeah.
Are they doing the original trilogy or the new trilogy?
I'm sure they will at some point.
I don't know those ones as well. Like I know the first 3 or 4, 5, 6 better than I do 1, 2, 3, but I think I'd still really enjoy it.
Yeah, Family Guy just does such a good job lampooning stuff.
There.
Yeah, they just hit the nail on the head almost every time. So it would be interesting. Hopefully they do it. But the other good one is the Robot Chicken. Anytime.
I always hear everybody talking about these. I've never seen them. I mean, I've never seen a full episode.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find clips of them on YouTube. They're hilarious. There's one that's Darth Vader calling the Emperor after they blow up.
Is that the one where he's like, oh, is that the one where the Emperor calls Padme?
Padmame.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Padmame or Panda Bear or whatever the hell her name is.
That's
It's one of the, and then like they try and order lunch in the middle of the phone call. It's hilarious.
I never got into that show, but I have heard good things.
Yeah, you'll at least look up the Star Wars stuff because it's brilliant.
Yeah.
There's another good bit from that show, going totally off subject, but there's a Contra one that they do.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, where it's like they figure out that they have the 30 lives, and so they like keep killing each other, and then their last life runs out, and he doesn't come back. It's really fun. You'll have to go look it up. It's really
I will have to watch it. Do you watch Tosh.0?
I do not.
Oh, there was in ironic as it was, I don't know if this episode is new or not, but there was a Punch-Out reference. An entire bit about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And you just have to watch it. It was awesome. And I was like hysterical the whole, because it like uses the sound effects and like, you know how when people talk and they punch out, it's like, you know, it's like,
right, yeah.
Like that was how it was. It's really funny.
That's funny.
Man, it was great. All right, so that is Retro Game of the Week, Super Star Wars, and so now we can go on to the What We're Playing segment. And if you want to go ahead, you can start that.
Oh, sure. On the retro side, I guess we'll start there since we've already been talking about. I did fire up Super Star Wars just to kind of get once we decided that that's what we're going to talk about. I threw in the emulator because I'm too chicken to play it on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, I needed to be able to cheat to get anywhere, I've been playing through that. I'm probably at halfway, using save states and cheating, but I think I want to go through and play the whole trilogy again just to familiarize myself with them again. So I'll probably wind up doing that at some point.
Right.
And then I go ahead.
How long are those games?
It's tough to say because you die so many times.
Right. I think that adds to the length, kind of like they just made it.
Yeah. I would say they're probably in the 5 to 10 hour mark, maybe, playing straight through for each one, but that may be a little bit over. It just kind of depends on how well you can progress. And like I said, I have to use save states and cheat, but...
Well, you're only human, Nick. It's
right, and I'm pretty terrible at those games, oddly enough.
Oh, I just saw the price tag on that Blu-ray, $90.
Yeah, $79.99 or $89.99. Yeah, but it's all 6 movies, so it's when you.
You know what? That's probably worth it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd say that's worth it. It's actually pretty cheap when you think about it.
Yeah, for all 6 of them, and then like I said, 40 hours of extra stuff. It's not bad. And then I've also been, actually fired this up last night because I'd forgotten about it, and that's Beautiful Joe on the PS2. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
I haven't, but I've heard about it on the GameCube and the
it's on GameCube and PS2. It's another one that's kind of ridiculously hard, but it's a blast to play. It's kind of like a living movie that he kind of jumps into, and it's an old school side-scrolling beat-em-up, but it's really a blast to play. He's actually a character in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is what made me want to go back and play it.
Oh, is?
Yeah.
How many games is he in? Just the 2?
There's that, and then there's Beautiful Joe 2, and then he's a character in MVC 3, and I don't think they've done anything else with the series. So.
Okay. Well, I have heard of him, but the game's pretty good, you said?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Like I said, it's kind of an old school nod, and it's kind of it kind of reminds me of like an updated version of Comic Zone from the Genesis.
Oh, okay.
Where you're kind of playing like through a living comic book / movie, and
that's kind of cool.
It's a blast to play. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then on the new side, actually just got through beating Portal 2's co-op campaign in mine. And now I started playing the single player. I'm maybe an hour or 2 into it. And did you ever play the first Portal? What's that?
Are they 2 campaigns?
Yeah, it's 2 separate campaigns.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the co-op one is you play through strictly co-op, and then the single player kind of picks up where the first one left off. Did you ever play the first Portal?
I didn't have the pleasure, but I've heard that it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, go check it out. There's actually a version on Xbox Live that's called Portal Still Alive that adds some extra levels at the end.
Oh, it's the same game, just with like bonus?
Yeah. But definitely go check it out. It is a highly entertaining game with one of the best characters ever in a video game, which is GLaDOS, which is the computer. That's kind of... At first, she's testing you, and she's kind of talking to you, and then it takes another level, which I won't spoil for anyone here. But
yeah.
And then in the second game, it's I can't say because I don't want to spoil the first game for anybody, but she is just the most snarky character you will ever meet in a video game, and has some of the most classic lines ever.
Right.
Like at one point in the new one, you finish one of the test chambers, and she's like, "Oh, looky there! Results say that you're a horrible person. We weren't even testing for that." Like, she just has some of the greatest lines in video game history. So definitely, if you haven't had the pleasure, check out both of those games.
Now, it's a puzzle game, right?
It is. It's a
first-person puzzle game, kind of
shooter puzzle game.
Okay.
Basically,
sounds pretty good.
You acquire this gun, basically, that you can create 2 different portals. And then, you can connect 2 different spaces together, basically, through these portals.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an orange side and a blue side, and it's basically you have to figure out, where to put these things to accomplish what you need to accomplish in each room you go into is a separate puzzle, and then you have to figure out how to get through that room, and then you progress to the next room. And each kind of level set of rooms adds a new element. Like, you might have weighted cubes that you have to get to switches to keep the door open or whatever. And it's just really fun to mess around with, and it's really kind of you have to think in a whole different way because space and gravity don't mean anything to you because you can make these little portals. And, basically there's parts where you have to throw a portal on the ground and jump from really high and, shoot across the room through the other side. Because the faster you go into the portal, the faster you'll come out the other side.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of have to mess with gravity and space.
Definitely. Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. No doubt about that.
It's a blast to play, so definitely, if you guys haven't checked it out.
Now, that was on the orange box, right, the first one?
Yeah, it's part of the orange box, and then, like I said, there's a separate version that you can buy that's on Xbox Live Arcade. I'm not sure if it's on PS3, maybe. But...
No, I'll have to check that out, and then you say Portal 2 is even better?
Yeah, definitely. The co-op campaign is absolutely amazing, and you will laugh your head off the whole time that you're playing. And you've got GLaDOS overseeing everything, and she just, like, you play as these 2 robots in the co-op campaign, so one of you is the orange robot and the other is the blue robot, and she just makes fun of you the whole time. It's hilarious. And you can do all these interactions with each other, like you can play rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, okay.
And you run and, jump, like mob hug each other, and like you can wave to the camera, and she'll get really pissed off if you keep waving.
Sounds like a pretty interesting series.
Yeah, she's like, I know. She'll, like, if you wave at the camera, she'll be like, yes, I see you waving, and I don't care. It's really funny. It's got such a great sense of humor in that game. So.
Wow. Okay. What have I been playing? Well, actually, as far as the modern stuff goes, I haven't played anything different aside from, like, I haven't started anything new or finished anything like that. So I don't really have anything for modern, but I do have 2 classic NES games. The first one being The Adventures of Lolo, which is actually, I don't want to say it's kind of like Portal, but it is a puzzle game, and it's pretty awesome.
I've actually never played that one. Isn't there, there's 3 of them, isn't
there? Yeah,
there?
There's 3 of them on the NES, and as far as I know, those are the only 3. I don't know if there's a Game Boy one. And it kind of follows the old NES pattern of sequels. Like, the first one's pretty common, the second one's a little more uncommon, and then the third one's just flat out, like, pretty rare.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just, like, the same thing with Dragon Warrior, just went that route with it, so.
Right.
I have the first one and the third one, but I've never played the third one. I've only been playing the first one, and it is tough. It's a fun puzzle game, and if you got to get it, really. It's like a cult classic, kind of.
Yeah,
like,
it's
really
one of those
underrated.
that you hear where we talk about, but for whatever reason, I've never played.
Right, yeah, nobody knows about it other than the people who have played it, and that's kind of
right.
like how it is, and it's really awesome. And it's made by HAL, or HAL, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
They made, like, Super Smash Brothers and stuff, and Kirby games. So, and actually, Lolo is kind of like Kirby, just a blue ball. So, whatever. Lolo and Lala is like the princess you have to save or something. So there's that, and then the other game I was playing, I haven't been playing it as much, but I was playing it earlier in the week, and it's Battletoads Double Dragon: The Ultimate Team on the NES. And there's 3 versions of the game, well 4 I guess if you want to count the Game Boy one, but there's the Genesis, Super Nintendo, and the NES. And the NES is definitely the harder to find of the 3.
But in fact, I don't even think I knew it was on the NES. I knew it was on the Super, but
yeah, and of the 3, it's definitely the one I enjoy the most because it's more like the original Battletoads. Like, they're all the same game with like different graphics.
right.
But I think just the 8-bit style appeals a little bit more to me.
Yeah.
And it's not as hard as the original Battletoads, so it's a little more user friendly. Because
Battletoads is ridiculously hard.
I mean, I was playing the Genesis version. I rarely play the NES version anymore, even though I love it. It's one of my favorite NES games. But it's just so hard once you get to the bike stage there.
Yeah.
And the Genesis version is slightly easier for whatever reason. And I've only cleared that bike stage once. And then the next level I got steamrolled. It's so damn tough.
Yeah, it goes back to the old school games just being ridiculously hard.
Yep,
I don't know
that
what it was.
old principle. I don't know. I guess they had to because the limited space that they get.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just like, let's just make this game impossible, and it'll take 8 hours to beat.
And then we don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I've been playing. I'm trying to think if there was something else that I didn't write down, but to be honest, there isn't. That's all I've been playing is Lolo lately, and then Battletoads Double Dragon earlier. So I guess that's it for the What We're Playing segment. And now it's time for the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen. It's the bizarre eBay auctions. And
these are actually fun to try and go and find the
yeah.
see what's out there.
I have a couple that are outrageous, but Nick has a couple that are just absolutely. If you didn't see them, you wouldn't believe it.
Right, especially the last one that we'll talk about. We'll save that one for last because it's easily the best.
It's eBay is such a wonderful place.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and just start with mine because they're more they're more normal bizarre eBay auctions.
Right.
Last week I was talking about that guy that I tried to find that I found that one time that was selling a cart of Sonic 2 for like $50.
55 as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I found it. I found this guy. Sonic 2 cartridge, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for video game for Sega Genesis. Price $55.
Right. And what's amazing is the picture. He says in the description that the condition is very good. But if that part in the picture is the one that he's selling, it looks like total crap.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's a rip or if it's like sticker,
there's like sticker residue on the front of it, and then there's some big old white mark across the top.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous. It's like I wouldn't even pay 55 cents.
Right.
For the thing. What's the description say? Does it say anything about it being ridiculously rare?
No.
Just a huge.
Well, let's see. Let me scroll down farther.
Just a huge quantity of vintage video games, movies, Detroit Red Wings posters. Uh-oh.
Yeah, nothing about it being ridiculously rare and that it cost $55.
Why does he think it's $55?
I have no idea.
What do you mean?
Because, you get that related items pop up and they're all like $5, $3, $10. And then he goes, 55. Somebody will buy it.
All right. Well, this next one's probably even more ridiculous. Quick question. How much would you pay for a Nintendo 64 system? No controllers, just cords.
Just the system, I would probably say at max $20.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably... I mean, they probably retail for more, but there's really not much demand for it.
Because I actually recently had to replace mine, and I got, like, the jungle green one, and it was...
Oh, sweet.
It was only, like, $30, I think, and it came with a controller and cord.
I think that's the Donkey Kong one, isn't it? I think that was Donkey Kong Country or something.
No, it's just the green color. I think the Donkey Kong... I want to say it was yellow, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyways, this guy, same guy, Nintendo 64 video game system with cords, $199.00.
Completely ridiculous. I think that's what it cost when it came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't even know.
It may not even cost that much when it came out.
And then, with like all his auctions, he has the make offer button. But it's like, come on, buddy.
I wonder if they do that just to try and get, people to look at it and then hoping they'll make an offer.
I kind of want to go to the Sonic 2 and offer him $1.
And see what he says.
Yeah, but then if he accepts it, then I have to pay like $4.75 for a shitty copy of Sonic 2.
Right.
So I don't really want. I just offer him a penny.
He's got Road Rash too. I wonder how much he's selling that for.
He has Road Rash 2?
Yeah.
Like the sequel or the first one?
No, just Road Rash. But I'm saying he has it.
Also, okay, gotcha.
That one's only $23.50. So he's a little better.
Apparently, this guy, this guy knows his stuff. I mean, I've seen some high-priced games. I think we all have. Like, you go to like a video game store and they want $20 for a copy of Contra.
Yeah.
But this guy wants $65 for a copy of Majora's Mask. He wants $88.75 for Shining Force 2, just the game.
Just the game.
He wants $17.75 for NHL 96.
That's awesome right there.
I don't care how good the game is. That's ridiculous. And this is kind of funny. He has Sonic 3 for $40, well, $39. But Sonic 3 is actually worth like quite a bit more than Sonic 2.
Sonic 2. Yeah.
Whatever.
Clearly he has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah. All right, well, before we make this like way too long, why don't you go ahead and show your absolutely epic ones.
Yeah, the first one that I found, and what I did to find these was I was just like, let me go to the video game accessories and just search for the highest price things I can find. And you get a lot of like bulk, like 500 hard drives for $1,000 or whatever. But this one I found is just a single 250 gigabyte Xbox 360 hard drive. What would you pay for that?
Me? I'm trying to think. Mine's 120. I don't know, maybe like $50. Is that what it's worth? Like 50?
Yeah, but the 250 is probably, closer to like the $70, $80 range.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, 75 seems fair.
Wants $999.99.
That's
just a single 250 gigabyte hard drive.
That is like that's like $2 or that's $4 per gigabyte.
Per gigabyte, yeah. But oddly enough, he does give you free expedited shipping, so maybe it's worthwhile if you really, really need it, like tomorrow.
I don't care how badly I need to save a game. I'm not paying $1,000.
$1,000 for your hard drive, and there's not like it's just a regular hard drive. I kept looking to see like, okay, what's like different about it, and there's nothing. It's just a regular hard drive. It's not even new in box. I think it's got
to be signed by Bill Gates or something.
Yeah, right. And then the other one that I found, which was I think the most epic eBay auction I've ever found in my life. You have to put the link in the description so people.
I'm gonna try and do that capture page thing again because this one you just have to see.
Yeah, unfortunately the auction's only good for 17 more hours, so you'll have to hurry and see it.
Shit. Yeah, I might have to just take a picture with my phone, which doesn't work. Shit.
Right.
I can't do it.
The title is the Magic Empty Xbox Box, which immediately made me click on it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say the price because it's that good. The starting bid is $3,000, or you can buy it for $4,000. And if you go to the description, it's this is a magic box warded with powerful spells to protect against meteor strikes. As long as you possess it, no meteorite will hit you. I offer a money-back guarantee if the buyer is ever struck by a meteorite. You can't be too careful with evil rocks falling from the sky. Please note this box is empty except for lots of love and does not contain the original gaming system. The wizard who enchanted this box was drunk at the time of enchantment, though, and later admitted to me that there's a small chance it will also cause fish to fall in love with the box's owner. Buyer be warned, goldfish might want you. Should be safe around whales and crocodiles as long as they're sober. And then it's P.S. Proceeds will help a down on his luck guy pay for laser eye surgery, so it counts as a good deed. So apparently this guy's blind, and the only way he can think to come up with this money is to sell his magical Xbox box. So
he's got to be something, because $3,000 for an Xbox box. I got to be honest. There's one in the other room for my brother's Xbox. Not worth $3,000.
No, even if it does protect you from meteorite strikes, I think the chances are pretty slim. But he does offer, again, free shipping, so,
I guess. if you want, within a couple days. But, just the whole thing, like, with the meteorites, it's kind of like have you seen that movie Signs, where they put, tinfoil around their head.
Tinfoil around their heads, yeah.
It's like the same like conspiracy BS.
I mean, I guess for humor purposes,
it's
pretty damn funny. But
it is a laugh, definitely.
I hope he's not serious. That's my only hope.
Is he selling other stuff? I think we looked. He is selling other stuff. That's right. I checked, but it's nothing is selling.
Yeah.
No surprise there. It's like you buy a magical NES game and it makes sure every time you cross a bridge there's not a billy goat under it or whatever.
Right.
Whatever lives under bridges.
Some sapphires or something for $30. He's got precious stones, but those are worth less than his magic box. So
I don't know. You'd think he could at least have the the politeness to include the Xbox.
Right. I mean, obviously, if you want $3,000 for your box, you got to give us something better than just a meteorite's not going to hit you.
Oh, people. I think I said that last week. I just don't understand people.
Yeah, eBay is great entertainment sometimes, I think.
Yes, but it pisses me off just as much.
Yeah.
Especially when you really want something and you just see the prices and it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I really want a 3DO, but they're way too damn expensive on eBay.
A 3DO? What is that?
Yeah.
That's the Panasonic, right?
Yeah.
What's on that?
It's just one of those systems that, it's got some arcade ports and stuff. So it's just one of those that I want to own for no apparent reason.
One that I want is, and it's probably not going to happen for a very long time, is a Neo Geo.
Yeah, I would love a Neo Geo.
Because those are aren't they ungodly expensive?
Yeah, they are.
I think they were $800 when they came out, weren't they?
Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, so they're rare right off the bat. They're rare just by design.
But if you love arcade games, the Neo Geo arcade games are some of the best ever. But
yeah, Metal Slug is like Contra, isn't it?
Yeah, Metal Slug and Fatal Fury was Neo Geo, I think.
Yep, I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I've got.
That's it for me as well.
It was pretty good, I think. A little longer than last week's. I think we're at over an hour already.
Yeah.
Man, hour 7. It's midnight. I have to get up at 5:30 tomorrow. Thanks, Nick.
Hey.
I'm just kidding. Actually, it's odd because I have to just get my niece and nephew to school.
Ah.
And I have to go to their house because their mom leaves at work at 6, so it sucks. It's not for school. If it were for school, I could at least... no. If it were for school, I'd still be pissed. There's no way I'm getting up at 5:30 for school. I have to do it for work sometimes, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, I had to do that this morning, actually. Actually, I have to get up at 4:30 when I have to get up to be early to work, so...
Tomorrow you have to get up at 4:30?
No, this was this morning.
Oh, okay. I was like, Nick, we should have done
I would not be here right now if I had to be up at 4:30.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, I guess that's it for us this week. I don't really know how to sign off. They always make it look so easy on TV and radio.
It's not as easy as it looks.
It's not as easy as it looks, but...
Just comments, if there's something you guys want to hear us talk about, let us know.
Oh,
we'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to do with the comments is ask us questions. It's kind of boring for the listener to read comments that just said, good podcast.
Good job.
So, yeah. I mean, as much as we like to hear it, but, it's it would make a little, ask a question, we could even do it for... some of the retro corner, if you suggest something like that. Just suggest anything, news stories, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you guys want to hear us talk about, let us know.
Auctions, the eBay auctions, something like that.
I think we should have a contest who can find the best eBay auction. There's no prize, but...
a little podcast pat on the back.
Mm-hmm. We'll give you a shout-out on the podcast. How about that?
Yes. We got a pretty fair amount of views, I think, last time. It was 150 so far.
150, yeah.
So hopefully we can get a few more this time. But, I don't know. It's fun to make, so we could get 8 views, and I think I'd still make them.
Yeah, I definitely have a blast. I actually was looking... as soon as we finished the last one, I was like, I can't wait to do the next one. So.
Yeah, it is. It definitely, around, Wednesday, it gets to be pretty rough, because it's man, can we just do it now?
Right.
But, gotta wait till Monday. That's the rule. So, all right, well, that's it for me, guys. So, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
And we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Nobody hated it, so that's good.
That's true. We didn't get any thumbs down, which is nice. So I guess we can just go ahead and jump into the news. And the first thing I saw earlier in the week was that the creative director of Halo 4 left. Now, you is it creative director? Is that right, or is it something?
That when the story first broke, that's what they said. But as it turns out, he was actually the narrative director, which is in charge of the story, kind of. So it's not actually the creative director, which is kind of the main lead on the game. So it was a bigger deal at first than it actually turned out to be. And he had actually turned in his notice in, what was it, March. So they had already hired somebody and was already working on it. So it's not going to affect the development of the game at all, I don't think. But it is still kind of a big story to leave a huge franchise like that in the middle of development. So
that is kind of cool. I had a quote here, and I guess the guy's name is Ryan Patton.
Yes.
Payton.
Yeah.
He said that the game had become a crazy endeavor. I don't really know what that means, but that's what he said about it. I'm kind of like weary about getting really excited about this game. If Bungie were doing Halo 4, I'd definitely be bouncing off the walls excited. But since it's 343, which is mainly Bungie ex-employees anyway.
Yeah.
But, it's still like that sense of worrisome that I have. Hey guys, for episode 2 of RattleCast, and of course, joining me today is
Neoflynn, also known as Nick.
Oh, I'm Tyler. I don't know if I have to elaborate, but I was gonna say something right off the bat. Oh yeah, apparently episode 1 was popular enough that we have a sequel, and so I think this episode is gonna be called the sequel.
The sequel.
The pilot, the sequel. Sticking with generics. Okay, so I guess we can go ahead and jump right into it. We'll read a few comments from the first video. I thought it was all pretty positive feedback, definitely.
Yeah, everything I heard was good. So.
Uh-huh. Are you on the page, Nick, or did you want me to just read them?
You can just read them. I don't have it open. But.
I don't. Everybody has trouble with this guy's name. It's Twirup or Tweirup. Nobody, I don't think anybody knows how to say his name, and I don't think he says it in his video. So I'm going to say Twirup, and his real name's Tyler, so I can just say Tyler. He said, this was great, very entertaining, looking forward to episode 2. All right. Elwood High says, wow, I really enjoyed this. Great job, guys. Well, thank you. I go for a graffiti font, and I couldn't find it. When I found one, it wouldn't work, so I just went with some standard font and just colored them like pink and stuff, so it looks kind of weird. VG Reviews 95 says, if you're looking for a guest, I would be honored. Now, the thing with guests, I've had a few people talk to me about guests. I don't think we'll do guests probably until we get a little bit bigger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this thing that we use will even work for guests, but, you never know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can do conference calls with it. I know you can do them over Skype, but I don't know if you can record them. So.
Right. Okay, Ball and Nick in 1982 says, hey, I really enjoyed listening to this. I'll definitely be looking forward to more. And I saw that comment. I was really pleased because he's got kind of a big channel, and I know he does some pretty popular videos. So just know that he watches, or listens rather, is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, 2D UK says, well done, guys. Awesome cast. Loving the pics. Really add to it. Thanks. Well, you came up with the name, so you better love it.
He's required to love it, I think.
Right. And then Ivy Peppy38 says, great podcast, guys, and thank you. So that's all the comments, I believe.
And my friend actually messaged me. He didn't leave a comment on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
He messaged me just to let me know, and he really enjoyed it, and he's a huge gamer, so.
Awesome.
That's actually the guy that I play Borderlands with, so.
Oh, all right. Cool. And then Rob, when we posted it on his group, he said he enjoyed it too, right?
Yeah, he did.
All right, cool. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure because it's the first time somebody other than Bungie has touched the franchise. So, but 343 has done some other stuff, so it's not like they're total newbies to the franchise. So I think it'll be okay. I don't know if it'll be quite as good as the previous games, but. Right. But yeah, the guy basically left to start his own studios, and the quote that I read was that the game was becoming something that he didn't want it to be, and so he felt the need to step away from it and start his own franchise. So, and the studio that he's opening is called Camouflage. It's Camouflaj. So,
he must be a Call of Duty fanboy. And he just wanted it to be just like Call of Duty. Now, okay, and you want to go ahead and say a news story?
Sure, I can. The first one that caught my eye this week was GameStop jumping into a different market, and they're going to basically start accepting and then reselling iOS devices, so your iPod, your iPhone, or your iPad. They haven't announced prices or anything or what kind of trade-in value, but the article, they called around to a few GameStops and they said, yeah, they'll be taking trade-ins, but they don't know anything more than that. So it's an interesting move. I don't know how many people are in the market for a used iPhone or iPod, but it'll be interesting to see where they take it.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because the only places I've ever seen like an iPhone or an iPod, Pac-Man Invader said, nice job, guys. Sounded smooth and not like it was the pilot episode. Looking forward to next week for sure. All right. Actually, this guy commented about Duke Nukem Forever. Real Equalizer said, Gearbox merely finished Duke Nukem Forever up. I'd be interested in to see what Gearbox does with their own Duke Nukem franchise. A game from scratch could be rather good. And you said that, I think, in that episode.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that when, they basically finished Forever, so it'll be interesting to see what they do on their own.
It should be better, I'd say, than Forever.
It couldn't be any worse, that's for sure.
Okay, and then Rob Who Is comments and said, the Call of Duty Elite service includes $60 of map packs will be free for Elite members when they come out. And in 2012, they will supposedly release monthly DLC stuff, which will all be free for Elite members, so $50 a year for DLC and stats tracking, basically. Okay, now back to me playing Dead Island, and cool first show. Hope you guys continue it. Have you played Dead Island? I've heard a lot of people talking about this game.
I have not. I've heard very good things about it. It's basically Fallout with zombies, is what I understand, but also multiplayer co-op. So it sounds very interesting.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Goffman says, excellent cast, guys. Really enjoyable. Love the little segments involved. Great pictures throughout the show. Looking forward to more. And there's going to actually be an extra picture in this week because we added another segment. So hopefully you'll enjoy that one. I made it it kind of looks fruity because I was trying